So happy to have you along. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, Beer Director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group of Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year. The group including Red Apron at Union Market in the district, also in Merrifield. And, of course, I have my little list here because I can't remember anything. Evening Star Cafe and Planet Wine in the Delray neighborhood. Greg, it is always good to see you.
You too.
What is on tap this week?
So this week, I'm bringing out a beer that I think is going to be definitely one of my go-tos for the hot weather that is increasingly setting in upon us. And it is from Boulevard Brewing Company out of Kansas City, Missouri. This is one of our American classic craft brewers at this time. You know, they've been around since 1988. They're a big brewery. They're kind of seeing a nice increased growth year over year, getting bigger and bigger. I think they're around 10 or 12, biggest in the country today. And luckily, not too long ago, they started shipping their wonderful beers out to us here in D.C. I think we've talked about Tank 7 before, which is one of my favorite American farmhouse saisons around that's available year-round and with a great price on it, actually, as well. And they make quite a few beers that they don't send to every market. One beer we've had for some time is called Unfiltered Wheat from them. And that's just a crisp, refreshing kind of summery beer, very akin to Bell's Oberon, which is also out right now.
Which is very good.
And delicious, refreshing, light on the palate. But now we have 80-Acre, which is the byline to 80-Acre is hoppy wheat beer. And this is a very cool hybrid style that we're seeing more and more of. Another one that I absolutely love is from Half Acre Brewing Company out in Chicago. It's called Enkari Shogun. And that is the same kind of idea. So what they've done here is they've created a hazy American wheat ale, not unlike the unfiltered wheat that they make.
Yeah, you can spot it down the bar.
Yeah, I mean, you know what it is. But when you go to taste it, you're like immediately sense that it's a little bit different. And it in fact is a kind of hybrid. It is an American wheat ale style, crisp, cleansing, refreshing, brewed with just a touch more American hops.
That is so good.
Isn't that good? So this is for that.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, we talk. So one thing I'm fond of saying is obviously I drink craft beer whenever and wherever I can. However, I've run into some issues with that because, you know, say you're down visiting your parents in Florida, and you decide to go out to the beach and start drinking at an early hour. If you bring Cigar City High Ally with you, after 2 or 3, you're a little messed up. But if you have something that's kind of light and refreshing, even if it's macro brewed, you kind of last a little bit longer. I think this beer is perfect because it's something you could drink 3 or 4 of or more in the hot weather. You know, it's baseball beer. This is like barbecue beer, you name it. But it's giving you that great hop aromatic and a nice touch of bitterness on the palate. And at the same time, it doesn't just taste like an American pale ale. Like, it's still definitely a very bright and refreshing wheat beer. It's just got a little bit more for people like us who love hops.
That is unique. And yeah, you do not want to go to the beach in Florida and fall asleep and have the sand fleas attack you. Not that that's ever happened to me.
Or fall asleep and wake up beat red, which is what would happen to me.
It's a problem.
But yeah, so this is definitely, it's cool. And you know what's great about this too is like now Boulevard has this kind of dual beer style. You know, I could, my girlfriend likes, you know, really crisp, refreshing wheat beers. I can bring her an unfiltered wheat, and then I can have an 80-Acre because I like that little bit of hop characters that's there.
My mom always loves to let me know when she has her one beer of the year on the hottest day of the summer. I think she'd love
this
that.
Would be
and
the
that's
one
saying
for that.
A lot. So.
Yeah, it's a really great beer. I'm psyched that they brought it in, and this is something you're going to see all summer long on draft, hopefully at a bunch of places. I know Rustico Ballston pours this on draft every day, and also you see it definitely all over the place in 6-packs.
And while it is hoppier, obviously it does not have the characteristics of an IPA and above. So I'm guessing this go with just about anything.
Right? It's got like such a huge lemon quality to it. It's just like zingy lemon zest note to it. It's amazing.
But not overpowering at all. Which,
no, it's still a wheat beer. But the hop come through with a little bit of lemon. You know, they're using Cascades, which is classic American floral, lemony notes. Nelson Sauvin, a New Zealand hop that gives it a kind of a Sauvignon Blanc character. Summit hops, which are big, bold hops, but they're just using a touch of that really nice kind of tropical fruit, herbal note, but it's all integrated. And with food, you can just go anywhere with this. And again, thinking seasonally, I would love to bring a case of this to like a clam bake, because you can just steam clams, but then, peel and eat shrimp, oysters, crab legs. It would crush with all manner of seafood, I think. And then then salads of any kind. It's really just delicious beer.
Some crazy question popped in my head, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but we talk often about all the different hops, whether they be from New Zealand or Washington State or Belgium. Where's the closest, the closest hop producer to the Mid-Atlantic?
Well, there's actually quite a few, and more are popping up every day. In Maryland, we have Mount Airy, Maryland. There's Still Point Farms. They're kind of the biggest one right now, I think, that's producing hops. But they are coming from all over the place now. Some grape growers in Virginia are starting to grow hops as well. Hops are pretty. They're tough. They're tough plants. They can grow in a lot of places. Typically, if you're between the 30 and 52nd parallel in the north of the southern hemisphere, they're going to grow. But that said, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to give you the optimal characteristics you're looking for just because they grow. You're going to get certain areas, just like with grapes, certain terroirs and climates are going to give you better yields. They're going to be you're going to just get a more intense flavor, and that's why today 75% at least of American hops come from Yakima Valley in your home state, and this has a lot to do.
Dry, hot there in the summer.
Dry and hot, and that's important because with today's irrigation techniques, we don't have to worry about the dryness anymore. You can get them all the water you need, but you get tons of sunlight and wide expanses. So you look in the valley itself, as you go down, you got Moxie up top, then you go down to the reservation, and then southern Yakima. You increasingly, as you go down, get more and more open expanses. So some of these bigger Pacific Northwest hops need space to grow, and they need tons of sunlight. And that's where a lot of the higher alpha acid hops are coming from. Also why we're seeing so many coming from New Zealand and Australia, because just like that, tons of sun, really, really dry and arid, great irrigation, and wide open expanses. But what Australia and New Zealand have that the Pacific Northwest does not, unfortunately, have is a lack of pests, because they're so geographically isolated. They don't have to worry about aphids and downy mildew and things that affect our crop. And so we're already seeing Nelson Sauvin, Galaxy hops, Motueka, Pacific Gem, lots of different hops coming from the southern hemisphere. And I predict we're going to see many, many more as time goes on.
Okay. Aphids, stay off my hops. Before we go, now Greg is not big on tooting his own horn, but I'll toot his horn. We've told you he's a James Beard Award nominee. We've told you he's the only beer director to be named a Food and Wine Sommelier of the Year by Food and Wine. And then a little bird told me that you were recently named a top 40 something. Is it?
Yeah, it was. This dates me a bit. It was. I love this because it's got a great irony to it. So Wine Enthusiast, which is a fantastic wine magazine that also has been branching out, looking at beer and spirits a lot more and more as the years go by, came out with a list called 40 Under 40 kind of American tastemakers. And I was on the list, which is great because I think I was one of maybe two people that have anything to do with beer that was actually on the list. And awesome. Anytime I can crash a wine party, I'm excited about that. It's pretty cool.
We need a 50 under 50 for me, I guess. If you've got a question for Greg, please email us. The email address is beeroftheweek@wtop.com. Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it. Everyone, please always do drink responsibly, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.